Hey everyone, this is Athletes and Antiquities. In today's video, I want to talk about sports card prospecting and why it's basically gambling. And if any of you are familiar with gambling, as you know, the house always wins. So why do I think prospecting is basically gambling, and what do I mean by the house always wins? So with sports card prospecting, you're buying a card. Let's say you're buying a rookie for $10 and you think, oh, this guy's gonna be sick. He's gonna go to a few Pro Bowls, go to a few All-Star games, whatever it may be for whatever sport. I think that card is worth more than $10 once people see how good he is or whatever. So you buy it at that price hoping it goes up. And I'm gonna be talking about this from a financial standpoint. So if you just like a rookie and you wanna buy him, like, go for it. Like, I don't wanna shy you away from that. This is purely people that buy it with the intent to sell for a higher price. So I have a bunch of receivers up here to show you like different paths a receiver can take. But receivers don't really drive the sports card market. I primarily collect football, so a lot of my references will be football based, but you can extrapolate that to a shortstop or whatever position you want for whatever sport, a point guard, whatever it may be. So I'm gonna talk about some quarterbacks for a little bit, and then I'm gonna move over to what we have in front of us with Justin Jefferson. So there was a sale that happened really recently that sparked me to make this video because it was so over the top, I couldn't believe it. I didn't know what to think. And it was the Justin Herbert National Treasures 1/1 NFL Shield rookie auto. I know that was a mouthful, but it's basically like his best RPA, essentially. And that card recently sold, it was about like 2 weeks ago or so, recently sold for $1.8 million. I'm gonna say that again, $1.8 million. This is for a quarterback who he's young, he shows promise. People think he's gonna be really good, but he hasn't really proven himself yet. I think he's won one playoff game in his entire career. And I have the card up here right now so you can look at it. It's a nice looking card. I don't doubt that, but the price is so insane. And I'm gonna compare it to another card and tell you why. So a comparable, well, not a comparable player in terms of skill, but like Tom Brady, he has a comparable rookie card. He only has a few 1/1s because it was from the year 2000. They didn't really have that many 1/1s back then. But his Brady 2000 Fleer Showcase 1/1 masterpiece sold a few months ago. That's his best 1/1 essentially, comparable to the Justin Herbert 1/1. And that sold for about $400,000. So it sold for $1.2 million less than the Justin Herbert. And I have that one up on screen too if you want to see it. Beautiful card, great card. And it sold for $400,000. So the person that's buying the $1.8 million Herbert, they're prospecting and kind of just hoping that Herbert pans out or that they can sell that card for a higher price regardless. And it seems very unfounded, and I think a lot of that is happening right now, and it's gonna crash down in a lot of ways. So here in front of you, I have Justin Jefferson, the one on the left here. He is going to be the talk of this video, and I'm gonna use these other cards up here to show examples. The three cards on the left, the Mike Evans, the Justin Jefferson, and the Santonio Holmes, are all refractors, so they bounce off the light in really obnoxious ways. So if you see this, you're being blinded by all the different rainbows and stuff. I apologize. There's not a good way to capture them without this like iridescent glow around the card. So if it's hard to see or something, just bear with me here. So Justin Jefferson is, I think he's, what is he, a third year? What year was this card printed? I forget how many years in the league Justin Jefferson has been. 2020. Okay, so this is his second season. And he went to the Pro Bowl last year. Phenomenal year. He's having a good year this year. And people have really high hopes for Justin Jefferson. So there's a couple ways this player can go. And I'm gonna show you these examples, then I'm gonna show you a really good graphic that I didn't make, I just wanna show it. So he can stay on his path of being a very solid player. He can become what I'm relating to Mike Evans. Mike Evans is a phenomenal receiver. I'm dropping Justin Jefferson here. Mike Evans is a phenomenal receiver. He had one of the best in the league, one of the most consistent. He's been to, I think, like 9 Pro Bowls. You can correct my stats here. I'm kind of just going off memory. He's been to an absurd amount of Pro Bowls, has been the right-hand man of the revolving door of quarterbacks that have been through the Buccaneers. Recently won his ring with Brady. Phenomenal player. One of the best receivers in the league. Some might say he's criminally underrated because he doesn't get a lot of love, but he's amazing. This Justin Jefferson card sells for the same amount as the Mike Evans card. The Mike Evans card is older, there's less printed, and yet they're comparable rookies. They're similar in terms of desirability for each rookie, and the prices are equal. So what that would lead me to believe is that so I'm just gonna say these cards are both about $10. So if Justin Jefferson keeps the Mike Evans track of not being like the GOAT, like the guy on the right, but still having a phenomenal career, what is he going to stay the same price? Or you think Mike Evans is underrated and you think he's going to go up and Justin Jefferson is going to stay the same, whatever it may be. If he follows the Mike Evans track, which would be a phenomenal track, there's not much room for him to grow based on current prices. There's another way it can go. This is Santonio Holmes. This guy was drafted in the first round by the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2006, the 25th pick, I believe. Very highly touted, one of the most talented receivers in college. Everyone was very excited for him to come out of the draft. And he delivered. He wasn't as good as Mike Evans, which was a disappointment to many. He was still a phenomenal player, and he had one of the most memorable catches in Super Bowl history. It was the catch against the Cardinals with the Steelers faced the Cardinals. It was after the James Harrison 100-yard pick six. He had that amazing toe tap touch with like less than a minute to go in the game to win the game for the team. I think he won Super Bowl MVP for it. He didn't jump off the screen too much after that. He kind of actually fizzled out. I'm pretty sure he was traded the next year, but he had that remarkable moment in history. Yet I bought this card for $1. This is his refractor. This isn't his base. This is a better card. This is his refractor. People forget about him. Super Bowl MVP. One of the most memorable moments in NFL history is because of that guy. And he's $1 because he just didn't have the Pro Bowls, didn't have the Hall of Fame resume. People forgot about him. Justin Jefferson can do that. He can have a few really good years like Santonio Holmes did. Let's say Justin Jefferson wins Super Bowl MVP. Like if he does something crazy, the Kirk Cousins leads the Vikings all the way somehow and Justin Jefferson pops off, he could have Super Bowl MVP and then fizzle out and his card will be worth $1 in a few years, just like Santonio Holmes. That's another path. And finally, we have Calvin Johnson, who I consider one of the top 3 best receivers of all time. That's debatable. There's a lot of names you could throw in there. I'm putting Jerry Rice first, Randy Moss second, Calvin Johnson third. If you want to put like Chris Carter or like there's tons of other names you can throw in there, fine, but he's one of the best receivers ever. This rookie card of his, it's 2007, there's not a lot of rookie cards. This Gem Mint 10 Calvin Johnson card I got in the peak of COVID, so it was when things were high. I got that card for $40. There are better rookie cards than him. You could argue that this Justin Jefferson from Select for $10 is a better rookie card than the Calvin Johnson would be, and that's fine. But still, one of the greatest receivers of all time, one of his hobby accepted rookie cards, $40 and a 10. And you can go online, I don't have all the other data, but he has other chrome kind of rookie cards for less than 100 in a 10. So I don't know what this card sells for in a 10. I think it's a little over $100. So you could say those are equal right now. And Calvin Johnson is one of the GOATs. Hall of Famer. I think he was first ballot. One of the few receivers to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. So for Justin Jefferson to reach the level of Calvin Johnson, his price, would it even change? Who knows? This is what I want to talk about with prospecting. With prospecting, this is what I mean by the house always wins. There's that one Brady. There's the 199th pick that becomes the GOAT. His cards go from $5 to thousands. This is actually a little anecdote. I was at a card show the other day in Virginia Beach, and a guy talked to me, and he had a phenomenal Tom Brady collection that he was selling. Tons of Bowman Chromes, tons of autos. And I asked him, I was like, did you buy these recently? And he was like, no, I went to Michigan when Brady was there. So I bought his cards because I liked him and I watched him in college, and then he became the GOAT. So like he lucked out in that sense. But that was just a side story. I thought that was interesting because he was telling me he was buying Bowman Chromes for $5. It's just insane. So those are three options that Justin Jefferson can take in his career, and all of them illustrate how his card price with the current comps would barely move. And I'm gonna show up in a graphic right now. This is a graphic. I didn't make this. I want to make that clear. Teapot from the Sports Card Investor channel Market Movers made this graphic. I have it on screen now, and he shows kind of what I just talked about with the different ways a player's price can go. He has the generational category, the superstar category, star, role player, and bust. And he's saying if you buy a card now for $2,000, what are the different options it can take? It can take the bust route, which I don't really have a bust example here because I don't have any receiver that was a bust, but a player that absolutely nobody cares about now, $5 from the $2,000 mark. That's very possible. Role player, this is what I consider to be Santonio Holmes. Role player, he had a few great moments, all-time moments, but in general, he was just a pretty good player. And in this example, it went from 2020. In Santonio Holmes' example, it went from whatever it was to $1 for this raw refractor. Then we have the star in the middle there. The star is what I compare to Mike Evans, what I just showed you, where he's a great player, but you can still buy his cards really cheaply. Then you have the superstar, which I consider Calvin Johnson. You could argue generational, but I'm going to use Brady as my generational. Calvin Johnson, superstar. His cards are not worth that much for how amazing of a player he was. And maybe you could say, oh, it's because it's a receiver. Nobody cares about receivers. But, this is just the example. Superstar, his prices still aren't crazy. Like I said, that 10 I bought for, I keep on changing the number because I don't remember exactly. It was under $60. I think it was around 40, but I could be a little off there. And then lastly, you have the generational. He's not a receiver, so I didn't put him on. I didn't show him on screen. I could show you a Jerry Rice, but I don't have the Jerry Rice rookie card. But this Brady, this is the one that you could buy for, you wouldn't buy it for $2,000, but for this example, you buy it for $2,000 and it's worth $20. That's what Teapot was talking about there. So those are all the paths that this card can take. And in basically all of them but one, you're losing. And this is what I mean by the house always wins. Sure, you could be the guy that collects the next 199th pick that becomes the GOAT. You can do that. You can buy the card for $5 and all of a sudden it's worth thousands in 20 years. But that's such a minuscule percent of players. That's Joe Montana. That's Tom Brady. That's Jerry Rice. That's Lawrence Taylor, maybe? I don't know. No one really collects defensive players that much, but I guess Lawrence Taylor would be a generational player. Like, those are the players that outperform what's expected. Everyone else, it either stays the same, also maybe stays the same, it goes down a little bit, or tanks. And those are the three paths I see a player like Justin Jefferson can go. And the same thing can be said for quarterbacks. Joe Burrow, he went to the Super Bowl last year and his card prices went crazy. And then he lost the first two games this season. This is the 2022 season if you're watching this later. Joe Burrow, the Bengals have lost the first two games. If you're watching this after the season, who knows, maybe they won the Super Bowl, but it's not looking likely. They look bad. I think they beat the Jets. Week 3, that's their first win. They look bad and his prices are hurting because of it. So if you were prospecting on Joe Burrow, you had the high of the Super Bowl and now you have the trough of the slow period, the Super Bowl hangover, if you will. But I think it's more just because they have a lot of holes, not necessarily because they're, suffering from success. But I just wanted to talk about this. Again, this is a receiver, so the numbers aren't exactly accurate. People don't value receivers nearly as much as they do quarterbacks. So let me know what you think. Do you kind of understand what I'm saying with this, how prospecting the house is going to win almost every time. That's my personal opinion. If you're wondering, I prospect a little bit, very, very minuscule. I buy the Justin Jefferson that I think is going to do well. Because personally, I think Justin Jefferson can be a Mike Evans. I see that potential in him. So I buy cheap cards of players that I think are going to do well because it's fun to track. I don't buy $100 autos because I don't have that money to burn if he just tears his ACL and then leaves the league. That's too much of a risk for me. But those people that are buying $1.8 million Justin Herberts, I think they're going to hurt because unless he becomes a generational talent, that card is going to spiral. And that's what I had. That's the main gist of this video. Like I said multiple times, let me know what you think. Leave a comment if there's any particular type of video you want. There's a few videos I have coming out from people that commented that were interested in a specific thing they requested. So I'll have a few of those coming out. But yeah, be on the lookout for those. And thanks. Bye.